Good morning, Life Point Church, and welcome back for part 3 of our lesson, Pleasing the Lord by Loving Mercy. In what we have talked about so far, we've gone through Peter's question, and we've looked at the parable that Jesus told regarding the king and his servant who needed to be forgiven of a very large debt. So far, that parable is a very feel-good story in which we see a philanthropic king giving away some money and not requiring the servant to pay it back. Unfortunately, the story does not end there. Jesus then took the opportunity to show the opposite of mercy. Like many of Jesus' parables, this had a contrast. Jesus helped Peter, and by default us, understand that every beneficiary of mercy does not also love mercy. In other words, just because you show mercy to someone doesn't mean that they love mercy to the same extent and will then show mercy to others. Unfortunately, that servant left the king's presence, went out and found a man who owed him a very small amount of money, and grabbed him by the throat and shook him and choked him and said, "You must pay me back now." The man did not give this other servant a chance to explain or offer a payment plan or anything. He simply grabbed him and demanded that money of him. Money, a debt due, was the leverage for both the king and the man who owed 100 pence. In other words, both of these men were in the same exact position. One owed the king, and the other man owed the man who owed the king. However, the debt or even the amount owed was not the issue. The issue is how we deal with other people. And that was what Jesus wanted us to teach. You see, you can show mercy for $3 million, and you can show mercy for $3. What matters is your heart. How is your heart, and does it love mercy? You see, we remember from day one that Peter felt like he was a good example of the teaching of Christ because he was willing to forgive 7 times in one day. But Jesus taught we need to stop carefully measuring out our mercy and instead lavish it on anyone who needs it. Jesus taught that when we love or only value mercy, we benefit from the benevolence and our response involves people. The man who owed 10,000 talents was angry. He was angry for many reasons. First, because he had been required to face his bad management. Probably pretty embarrassing to be pulled up in front of the king in front of everybody and say, "This is how much you owe me. Now you're going to pay for it." This was a public disgrace for him, for everyone to know that he can't handle money. He was also probably angry because the immense debt had been compared to his ability to earn and repay. They'd probably made him stand up there and tell everybody how much he made in a year. To any man, that's embarrassing and that's frustrating, especially when the other end of that voice is someone you owe money to, and they're trying to decide if you can pay it back. He was probably angry because he had been forced to imagine a life of slavery for himself and his family. He was angry because he was in a dire situation that caused him to lay aside his pride and beg for an opportunity to redeem himself. So he left that situation not feeling overwhelmed by the mercy shown to him, but feeling angry because he had been put in such an embarrassing situation. While he was probably grateful for that forgiven debt, he was angry that he had needed mercy for his family to survive. His aggressive action toward the man who owed him money, him choking him being so angry that he physically put his hands on him, his aggressive reaction was not about the money that was owed to him. It was about how he felt about himself. He had felt powerless, so he was trying to make someone else feel powerless. How often in your life and in my life is it not so much about I have to forgive someone as much as it's about, I want others to feel the way that I did. You see, when there's a flaw inside of us, it's our job as Christians to work that out at the altar, because our natural human response is to try to make the world around us feel hurt if we're hurt. And that's why they say, hurt people hurt people. We shouldn't have that attitude. We need to be healed. We need to come to the Father and allow His mercy to humble us and to make us feel like, I've received so much from Christ, how can I not give it out to others? I am nothing without Christ. And if that's the attitude we carry every day, we will not fall into the trap that this man did. You see, the money wasn't the issue in this story, in the second half of this story. The money wasn't the issue. The issue was that man's anger because of the situation he found himself in. How many times do we not give mercy to someone because of an insecurity in ourselves? They should have known better is a defense that means absolutely nothing to God. And that is where we're going to leave today on that very deep thought. Hopefully you spend some time working through it in your own heart. Study yourself. If there's an area in your life that you're having trouble forgiving someone, look it over in your own heart. Is it because of something deep inside of you? And take that to the throne when you find it. Search it out, dig it out, and find peace in Jesus' name and his presence. God bless you today, and I'll see you back tomorrow for part 4.